The pursuit of happiness. What is happiness? What makes somebody happy? I lived in Korea for over a decade and I can tell you I'm extremely happy. But what about Koreans? Are they happy in Korea? I found this really cool video online that I wanted to share with you guys about Koreans being happy. Let's check it out.
What do you hate about Korea?
I think we don't know how to be happy.
Like, how?
We are always looking for happiness from outside.
You know what? I have a lot of Korean friends living in Korea for a long time, and just from observations, and it's not everybody, but it is a cultural thing where image is very important in Korea. Because Korea is a very monoculture society, image tends to play a very important role in Korea, as it does in many other cultures. But in Korea, I find it to be a lot more intense. And because of that, how you appear to others tends to be very important. And because that's an outside thing, chasing happiness can be a little bit more difficult, I guess, in Korea. Let's see what else he has to say.
Like money,
Yeah,
car,
having good house.
like penthouse in the hot river.
Yeah, that's why
right?
we are trying to be rich and rich and rich.
Why do you hate about it? It could be a good thing, It makes you more progressive.
Yes, kind of. But I thought I was different. But living in Korean society makes me one of them.
When did
So I talk to my students all the time. I teach a older group of students from time to time. And I always ask them, like, we have discussions about everything, from money, romance, whatever. And whenever topics come up, money always plays a huge role. And I'm not saying it doesn't play a big role in other societies also. But what I'm saying is it's a lot more intense in Korea. Very intense in Korea.
you notice that?
Every day, when I meet people, when I meet my friends, they're always talking about how to be rich, about stocks,
Right.
about job. They don't talk about our lives.
This is also very true. When you meet people in Korea, especially when I meet some of my Korean friends who tend to be more, I don't want to say traditional Korean, but a bit more old school Korean, they usually talk about money, finances, hey, when are you going to get married, but it usually hangs around money. But when I hang with more westernized Koreans or just my regular foreigner friends, we tend to talk about money, but we don't stick on that for a while. We usually talk about, hey, what's going on? How's your life going? Anything new? But when I try to ask these to my Korean friends, like, hey, how's your life going? Like, anything new and exciting? They always say, look at me straight. No, just working. And then if you take the subway in Korea and you're not on your cell phone and just kind of like look around, pee around, and you'll see people, especially early in the morning, they're just watching their stocks. I'm not saying it doesn't happen in any other countries. I'm just giving you my observation from living in Korea. Money is extremely important and image is extremely important. Hence why a lot of people also tend to wear luxury items in Korea. And the markup here is so large because people will buy them. If you stop at a department store, the line to go into Gucci or Louis Vuitton or Chanel, the lines are crazy and it's almost every day.
Start to compare with them.
Yeah, it's automatically, Naturally, I'm starting to compare with them and coworkers.
So what's the worst part?
So, especially when I first came to Korea, I have a much more closer group of friends now. But when I first came to Korea, you tend to dabble around different types of groups of people and networks and whatnot. And sometimes I would get some friends. I would just kind of de-stress around me, talk about their problems and whatnot. And the problem usually stems from comparing themselves to somebody else or someone comparing themselves to them. Comparison in Korea is very normal. It's so normal that when you tell them, they're almost surprised because they're so deep in it. And being a foreigner, you can take a bigger step back and look at it and be like, you're comparing or they're comparing each other. Like, everybody has a different story and your story and their story has different timelines. So it's never a good idea to compare yourself to somebody else. But in Korea, they love it. It's just what they do. Like I find everybody compares each other to somebody else, and they kind of want to gauge and quantify, what level they're at. This is kind of common in Korea.
What's the worst part of being competitive?
Being competitive makes me feel very hard to be happy.
One word.
Shout out Korea, because competitive, like most things in life, it's a double-edged sword. But because Korea is so competitive, they were able to jump the economic ladder so quickly. Like Koreans, because they're so competitive and they work so hard, yes, they're competitive with each other, but because they work hard every day and they're very competitive, as a whole society, they were able to lift themselves up economically so quickly, right? Like Korea, maybe like 50, 60 years ago, wasn't in this situation right now, but because of their culture and this competitive culture and their togetherness, they were able to jump the economic ladder so quickly. So yeah, the competitive part, there's a lot of negatives, but if you just take a stroll around Korea, you can see what it can also do for you, the positives of being ultra competitive.
The world?
Wherever you go, be yourself and find your own happiness.
I totally agree with this guy. And I think Koreans know this, but it's so hard for them. It's so hard for them. I think Koreans know you have to be yourself and you just have to kind of find your happiness inside. But because of the group cultureness and the constant comparisons almost every day, I think it's really hard for them to kind of find easy happiness. Because if you do something different that kind of varies off the course and you try to be a little bit too unique, or your goals a little bit too unique, people will start talking and judging you and saying, oh, this person, they're doing this, it's not a good idea. And it's hard. It's hard. I talk about it with my friends all the time.
What do you hate about Korea?
I hate Koreans don't treat soldiers well.
How much do they pay you?
For 6 hours, they pay me 8,000 won.
Yeah, so by the way, in Korea, all able-bodied males are required to do 2-year mandatory military service. And I think now they get some money, but I guess he's mentioning that it's not enough. Happiness in Korea. Unfortunately, I think happiness is really, Koreans say sabasa, kebake. It really does depend on you. There are people who have much less than what you have and they are extremely happy. And there are people who have a lot and they're not happy. I think comparison is the death of happiness. From once you start comparing yourself to other people, I'm not saying get more. If you can get more, go and get it, but just make sure what you're trading it for is not your happiness. That's all I gotta say about that. My name is Ade, lived a career for over a decade. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Bye for now.